Verse 27. Bhagavad-Gita and Sahasranama should be chanted. Form of the Lord of Lakshmi always meditated upon, the mind associated with the good and wealth given to the needy. So having said that the sage transcends desire, anger, greed, delusion, and that we should cast away ignorance causing diversity. Good advice. How do you get there? He answers that question here. So these are the 4 integrated practices. So again, poetry here, symbolism. The first of the practices is to reflect on higher values. Think about what is true. So the higher values is represented here by the 2 texts that deal with the subtlety of human life. Right? So it's not a preference for any one text or tradition. It simply symbolizes reflecting on higher values. And he's given a taste of this earlier on in verse 23. Who are you? Who am I? From where have I come? These are some fundamental contemplations that will continue to baffle your intellect no matter how far along the path you are. Try and answer the question, who are you? Without referring to the qualities and properties of your equipments. Try and answer the question, who are you, without using language. Answer the question, who am I? Where has my mind come from? Where does experience come from? Okay, so this kind of practice expands the intellect. Second of the practices is gratitude and devotion. So Goddess Lakshmi is one of the many gods and goddesses in the Hindu pantheon. To meditate upon Lakshmi means to have that continuous connection to your personal God. So that's a very religious framework for it, but it doesn't need a religious framework. You can connect yourself, if you like, meditate upon the sense of radical amazement and wonderment that comes when we contemplate the nature of the universe. That sense of wonderment is devotion, and so it's an emotional practice. Third discipline he has is associate with the good. So he touched on this in verse 9. From the company of the good arises non-attachment, from non-attachment arises non-delusion, etc., etc., etc. And from there arises liberation in life. So this is a physical practice where we are instituting some kind of discipline in our life. Discipline is freedom. The discipline that he's talking about here is just to be aware of the kind of environments and stimuli that you are choosing. Now, to an extent, there's some that you can't choose. If you live in a big city, you will be exposed to traffic. Within the circumstances that you're in, recognize the control and the choice that you do have and exercise that choice so that you're associating with what you consider to be good stimuli. So it's a physical practice in the sense that it relates to the senses, the information coming in. And the fourth of the practices he gives here is service. He calls it wealth given to the needy. And the word wealth here refers to any kind of resource that you can share that could enhance the well-being of others. So that service is, if you like, it's a physical exercise. You do things for others, but as a practice, it integrates the intellectual, emotional, and physical all together, which is why service is such a powerful way to promote your growth. Anytime we have a sense of oneness with another, there is a natural impulse to share that comes with it. You have a bag of cherries and you're child or your partner or your parent walks into the room, oh, you want some cherries? It just happens naturally. You don't have to think your way into that action. Where's it coming from? It's coming from that sense of oneness that you have. What is that sense of oneness? That is both an intellectual and an emotional confluence. You know something about that person that gives you the insight, we are connected. This is my brother. But there's also the emotional component. You just feel that sense of compassion, of oneness. And then you give up something of your own so that they may flourish, that they can be happy. So there is a discipline involved there as well. So service is a powerful one. That wisdom, that insight, we are one, naturally expresses as a feeling of oneness. That oneness naturally allows us to serve. We give up something of ourselves so that others can benefit. That service as a discipline calms the mind, allows more wisdom to shine through. That wisdom further promotes the sense of oneness. It expands it even further, so our service increases. Our service generates our wisdom, generates our oneness, generates our service. So you get this virtuous cycle. And the beauty of the cycle is that you can jump in anywhere you like. Start with wisdom, great. Start with a feeling of oneness. If you're more devotional in your temperament, great. Start with service. We can all do something, great. Wherever we start in the cycle, doesn't matter. It gets us moving. So these integrated practices of understanding deeper truth, feeling ourselves connected to part of something unseen, having some discipline around the kind of lifestyle that we're living, and ensuring that we have some service to others, this is the path to cast away ignorance, causing diversity. That's the path to transcending desire, anger, greed, and delusion.